win over the Dallas Wings, a team that's been completely just hurt by injuries. To see the way this team battled back just shows this team is not going to go away as easy as some people thought this team was going to this season. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Haize.
All right, Sky fans, listen. The Sky have now moved on to 3-1 in the season, and this was a nice win. This was a really solid game, and when you look at kind of the battle back and forth, even though the Sky led primarily throughout most of this game, the Sky won every quarter but the third quarter. This was a game that really came to a battle, right? And the Sky were able to lock in defensively when needed and make the necessary steps and shots to end up winning this game. Marina Mabrey finally showing up in the way that James Wade had hoped when he traded for her, going with 23 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists in this game, 1 block, 3 turnovers from her, and just we got to see what she can be in facilitating and in scoring the ball. And I tell you what, Clea Copper, as she slowly starts getting going as well, having a scoring duo of Marina Mabrey and Kalia Copper, and then you factor in what Courtney Williams can also add in scoring. I tell you what, it's going to be scary hours with the Chicago Sky when you face us every single day. Kalia Copper having her best shooting performance of the regular season so far, coming into this game shooting 34% overall from the field. She goes 8 of 19 in this game. She chips in 16 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists in this game as well. And then Courtney Williams with 12 points. She goes 4 of 10. Elena Smith coming in, filling in for Megan Birch, who went down. 14 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks from her. Stepping in, giving some much-needed energy on both sides of the ball. The Chicago Sky bench shows up as well. Sika Kone in her first WNBA action. 23 minutes, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 4 turnovers from her. And Dana Evans hitting big shots in today's game, going 6 of 9 from the field, 14 points from her, 1 of 3 from three-point range. Overall, the Sky did what they're going to need to do this whole season: have a balanced attack and beat teams that way. Death by 1,000 cuts is really the way that you want to look at it when it comes from the Chicago Sky team. And I'll tell you what, I was concerned about the forward rotation with all the forwards that we have out. When you look at Isabel Harrison, Morgan Birch, Ruthie Hebert, Aaliyah Rue, Rebecca Gardner, who plays guard and some forward for us, just missing that number of players. I love the way that we still had depth, right? James Wade going 8 deep in the bench today. The only player who was available who did not play was Robin Parks. Surprisingly, I did expect Parks to get in there, especially with Kone having foul trouble at some point. But man, I tell you what, as everybody starts getting healthy, and as this team, because this team still has not reached remotely their cap, their ceiling, I should say, offensively or defensively. This team is still filling each other out. And so seeing a team being able to pull out a win like this against the Dallas Wings, who have 2 really solid wins on the season so far, this was a feel-good win that was needed. We should be 4-0 right now. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. But the Sky, I'm telling you what, they're turning heads. People thought that the Chicago Sky were going to come into the season with all the new additions and really struggle. The Sky have shown that they have a brand of defense that at least right now is going to keep them in games. And as you look for their offense to continue evolving, I tell you what, it's going to be scary hours around the city of Chicago with the Sky going into the season. I'm really happy with how this team has competed. Haven't shot the ball as well as they can. We have still yet to see how this team or see any version of Marina Mabrey, Courtney Williams, and Kalia Copper all going at the same time. If we see a game of all of them being efficient scorers, I tell you what, with the defense that we play, we're going to be in a lot of games this season. You can have the super teams. We're going to be one of those teams that really brings together how we like our teams in Chicago. Tough, that competes, that fights, that punches above their weight, and that you're going to feel it when you play the Chicago Sky. And that came true in this game as well. And let's not overlook what the Dallas Wings did in this game as well. They had 2 players scoring in double digits. Ogunwabi, and I know I mispronounced, I can't say her name, 27 points. She goes 9 of 24 from the field. Also another 24-point score. But listen, I tell you what, this team is just, it's going to be deep, man. Let's go ahead and get into the comments, see how you guys are feeling about this game so far. Let's see what we got. Oh, you guys are going off in the comments here. Brendan L. Jet says, we in here. What's going on, Jet? Mark Shedden says, we should be 4-0 right now. I wish that was the case, but hey, I'll take it. If it wasn't for an incredible shot by Della Don, the Sky would be 4-0. Agree with you there, brother. Definitely agree with you. This team is exciting to watch. Marina Mabrey is her. Hey, this was the game that, for all the people who doubted, me included, let me make sure that I'm saying that I was a part of the group that doubted what James Wade gave up for Marina Mabrey. You saw what it could be in this game, right? We want to see it be more consistent, right? So we want to see her have this level of impact more nights than not. But I tell you what, a player that can go out and get you 23 points and 8 assists, and keep in mind, she could have had a couple of more assists if a couple of her players hit down shots. So, as we start shooting the ball a little bit better and more efficiently, I tell you what, this offense has the potential to be dangerous. Maybe not the best offense in the league, right? But we have the potential to be a top 3 to 5 offense and defense in the WNBA. And so that's gonna put you in most games. Let's hope that we see that continue as well. Brendan L. Jet in the building says Mabrey is starting to knock off the rust and heat up from behind three. Yeah, she had that step back three early. I think that was in the first quarter. And once she hit that, I was like, all right, this may be the game that we wanted from her. And that really started to come true over the course of this game as well. Sika Kone feels reminiscent of Swin Cash. I like her energy and tenacity. I agree with you there. Completely agree with you there. My video is frozen. What is happening here? Hold on real quick, y'all. Restreaming. Give it a second. I'm sure it'll come back up. I hate when Restream does this. Let's see what we got. We got Jay Capone, the Don says, what up, Drip? You be dripping. Hey, listen, I support my teams. This is irking me. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna refresh real quick. All right, y'all. We back in here. My bad on that one. But Jay Capone says, what up, man? You be dripping. I really appreciate that, bro. Like I said, I support my teams with my dollar. Mark Shannon says, man, just imagine when everybody gets healthy and Harrison, Morgan, and big time Becca, she's scary hours. Listen, I don't know how long Isabel Harrison is going to be out. But we need Izzy back. I think when you look at how Morgan Birch and Elena Smith kind of fill in, right? One thing that I like that James Wade has done, he's all of our forwards basically have similar skill sets. They're different caliber of players, but they have similar skill sets. So we're able to run a similar offense regardless of who's in and out the game. Isabel Harrison is an even better shooter than really what we've seen from like Elena Smith in this game. So with Elena going 1 of 5 from 3-point range, you can bet Isabel Harrison probably going more 2 of 5, 3 of 5 in some of those games with these same sets ran. I don't know how long Isabel Harrison's going to be out, but once she comes back, man, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy for sure. Eric says, I'm glad that Elena brought her shot closer because it helps with giving the player confidence. Oh, completely agree. Elena Smith has a really good skill set as a forward. She can shoot, she can pass, she can rebound, right? And so as her confidence starts building, she's going to be able to do even more for the Chicago Sky. They're going to be able to do more versatility-wise offensively, especially when you look at like Courtney Williams. I know that James Wade has told Courtney Williams he wants her to shoot more threes, but when you have Elena Smith, Morgan Birch, Isabel Harrison able to stretch the floor, that's going to open up that pick and roll for Courtney Williams to operate in the mid-range some. That doesn't mean the design play is going to be for her to shoot from the mid-range, but teams are going to have to stay honest. It could be a very good just offensive balance for the Chicago Sky in that area. Mark Shannon says, I love this team. Next up, Atlanta. Next week is tough for the Sky. They got Atlanta, and then they got a home and home against the New York Liberty, the new super team in the WNBA. So next week is going to be a big test to just see how the Sky really do measure up. Now, it's only going to be a test so much because we're going to be missing a lot of players, a lot of key rotational players. I'm worried that Rebecca Gardner is going to miss some extended time just because of if you look at how she went down with that injury. But overall, hey, you need to measure yourself against the best. And so the Sky have a week where they're facing all 3 of their games next week are going to be against teams that are slated to be much better than them. So we're really going to get to take a great look at the Sky that week. Let's go ahead and get into the next one. Brendan L. Jet says, now the big test starts. Now the Sky schedule gets tough starting now. The whole month of June, for those that have not looked ahead at the schedule, the whole entire month of June, from now into June 22nd, which is the majority of the month, it's going to be tough for the Chicago Sky. They have probably one of their most difficult stretch of the season over the next 30 days, basically. We're going to really know where this team sits at after that month for sure. Let's see. Did it refresh on me? Eric says Marina maybe played well. However, I know she can do better. Yeah, we've barely touched the surface of what she can bring, right? We've barely gotten to see that as well. Eric also says, I'm glad that Dana Evans brought her shot in more towards, I already read that one, towards mid-range. Dana Evans is playing her ass off. She's hitting so many big shots for us, man. But hey, it is what it is there. Let's see. All right, chat's back up. I can start using the chat again. So let's see what else we got. Mabry is a beast. I've been wanting her on this team for years. Hey, listen, the one thing about James Wade, and I will say, he went out and intentively, right, got out and acquired the players, and he had a vision of how they were going to fit. And considering how good this team looks with missing keep in mind, Morgan Burch, key piece, right? She was our starting four. Isabel Harrison was slated to be our starting four, right? Rebecca Gardner, our energy player off the bench, as well as Dana Evans. We're missing those three players. And you also factor in Leah Rue. You don't really know. Ruthie Hibbert, we all kind of want to see more from her to really get a chance, but we're missing some really big parts of our team. So Mark Shannon says, the defense is our calling card. Yeah, the defense is what's going to be able to make us really punch above our weight for sure. Mark Shannon says, yes, you was. I'm glad you're being honest and you had your doubts. I did. Just giving up 3 first-round picks, it was a lot, especially in the NBA now, and I mean in the WNBA with a team that you just don't know their cap. That's young talent that you can bring in. But Marina Mabry, like I said, in this game, she showed every bit of how versatile she could be. She's no slouch defensively, right? She's active defensively. She can switch anywhere between 1 to some 4s in this league. The way that she can shoot the ball, the way that she can put the ball on the floor, dish the ball. Hey, she has a great potential to just be an amazing running mate next to Kalia Copper. Brandon L. just says, Sky need to push the tempo. They play the best offensively when they push the pace. I agree. And I do think that if this team, when you look at rebounding, 44 rebounds in this game, they out-rebounded the Dallas Wings by 12 rebounds. That's the situation you want to see the Sky push the tempo, absolutely. You don't want to see them run just to run, but if they play the solid defense that we've seen that they can play, they rebound the ball as a team, getting out in transition, that's going to make this team even more dangerous, even more. Mark Sanders says, hey, I'm ordering a Becca jersey for sure. I feel you on that one. Feel you with that one. BL Jet says, I think it's time to upgrade to StreamYard. StreamYard really isn't an upgrade, though. Like, StreamYard is what I used when I first got into podcasting. I didn't like the interface, but at the end of the day, Restreams have been having its issues for probably like the last 6 months. I think I may move to OBS. I think that's maybe the move for me, is actually a move to OBS. So we'll see. I was loving the way that Elizabeth Williams was playing around the rim. She really knows how to use her frame. Elizabeth Williams knows how to alter shots on top of block shots, right? Often we think and look at rim protection as just block shots. Rim protection is more than that. Rim protection is stopping players from getting to the rim easy. It's altering players to put them in more difficult shots when they get to the rim. And it's also making them afraid to even come into the lane. Elizabeth Williams does every single one of those things. She knows how to operate in space. She knows how to close out well. She knows how to front also well on players coming down off that pick and roll to kind of dissuade them from coming into the lane. Elizabeth Williams is a amazing defensive IQ player. And I did not realize she was that amazing with the defensive IQ and how that's going to help just the Chicago Sky defense be amazing. So for sure on that one. Mark Williams says, did Izzy tear her meniscus? She had meniscus surgery. Now, they have not said if it was a full tear or a partial tear, because if it was only a partial tear, that means she can be back in about 3 to 4 weeks. If it was a complete meniscus tear, depending on if she had it reattached or if she had it pulled, she can still be back in about 6 to 8 weeks. So, of course, the WNBA season is much shorter than the NBA season. So you're still looking at her missing about close to 2/3 of the season almost, if it depending on which version of the surgery it was. But she's going to more than likely be back. Now, how quickly she trusts that knee is going to be the biggest question, but she's definitely probably going to be back this season. That's chocolate. That's actually not true. She's not necessarily gone for this season. They said she's out indefinitely. Now, Lee Yaroo is gone for the full season. A meniscus tear isn't necessarily a season-ending injury. It just depends on the version of the surgery that she's had and how severe the meniscus injury was. But it's not guaranteed that she's out. CK came to ball. She's active. Listen, for this to be her first WNBA game, for her to only be 20 years old, I tell you what, James Wade may have done it again, right? When you look at, especially the fact that she gets to learn behind a player like Elizabeth Williams, right? And we just talked about how intelligent Elizabeth Williams is defensively. So when you have a young player that's able to soak that up, has a coach with a great scheme defensively as well, we can be looking at Sika Kone as our center of the future, right? And I'm talking about immediate and far off future. And so it's not like Elizabeth Williams is 29 years old. You know, in the WNBA, players play until they're 36, 38 years old. But having Sika Kone and her showing, it's one game, right? We don't want to overreact to one game. But the intelligence she showed defensively, the activity that she showed, those are things that you can't necessarily teach. Now, she only went 3 of 5 from this field, so didn't just try to do anything outside of her game. She was 4 for 4 from the free throw line. But when you look at the 6 rebounds that she had in 23 minutes, 2 assists, 1 steal, 4 turnovers, but you expect as a forward/center in this league to have some turnovers, especially when you first start. She did damn good. She did damn good. Eric also says, appreciate that James Wade has gotten Courtney Williams to focus on her game. It shows how good she can be. Listen, Courtney Williams can be one of the most efficient offensive players in the WNBA. I'm not saying the most, or I'm not saying average the most points, but I'm talking about when you look at it just from an efficiency standpoint, she can absolutely be one of the most efficient players in this league. She's smart. She doesn't force up shots usually. She takes them in rhythm. And as she's hitting that 3 more consistently, goes 1 of 2 from the field in this one, that's going to stretch the floor. You're going to have to guard her close, because if Courtney Williams is shooting threes with what she can do in the mid-range, that's a difficult player to guard. So what she's going to be able to do is important for the Sky. And I think as our development continues, going to be real big for us as well. Steve-O in the building. What's going on, Steve-O? Steve-O couldn't be on the stream today, unfortunately, but shout out to Steve-O for supporting in the chat, man. You know, I appreciate you, brother. My little brother from another mother there. But yeah, overall, I mean, while we're here, as you guys say more stuff in the chat, let's just go over the next bit of schedule. So we talked about next week, right? So we got Tuesday, Atlanta. Friday and Sunday, we got a home and home against New York. We then have the Fever on the 6th. We got the Sparks on the 9th. We got the Las Vegas Aces on the 11th. Then the Indiana Fever again. Then 2 games against a home and home against the Mystics, June 22nd and June 18th and June 22nd. And we finish out the month against the Connecticut Sky, and also the Connecticut Sun and the Los Angeles Sparks. So it doesn't get any easier. This whole month of June is tough for the Sky, and July starts off tough too. It gets a little bit easier towards the end of July. But listen, you want to play the best teams. You have to measure yourself up against those other teams. And so you can't hide from them. You got to play them eventually. And I think that the Sky are up to the test. Are they going to win every single one of those games? No. But seeing how we measure up is going to be important. And also keep in mind, the Sky have a lot of nationally televised games, especially when you're looking at the fact that we're talking about the WNBA. The game against the Aces is on ESPN3. We got 3 more games on ESPN before the end of the month. Then we got 5 games on ESPN in the month of July. And then when you factor in NBA TV games as well, we got a lot of nationally televised games for sure. Eric says, I must say that Dana Evans reminds me of Tan White from the early years of the WNBA, though Tan White was bigger. Listen, Dana Evans is a pit bull. And I don't mean that any type of negative way. Please do not take it that. I mean the fact that she's just a dog. She goes out defensively, gives you effort. Right? It doesn't matter if you're bigger than her, stronger than her. She doesn't stop coming at you offensively and defensively. And when you have somebody that at the point of attack defensively can guard the full length of the court, but then also come down and shoot it in your face on the offensive side of the ball, hey, that's tough. That's tough. Jesus, LA Sparks twice, Mystics twice, New York twice, Aces once, ATL once, Fever twice. Geez, listen, the schedule don't get any easier for the Chicago Sky at all. Chocolate Sugar number one, which is a hell of a username, says, I know we already have two All-Stars, Mabry and Copper. Let's get E-Dub there this year. Listen, Elizabeth Williams, she's making her case. She's definitely making her case to be an all-star this year. If the Chicago Sky have for us to have three all-stars, we got to be at least 6 to 8 games above 500 by the all-star break. And then I say that at least. If we have that level of wins and we have three all-stars in a year that people just counted us out because of the amount of change that we've had, you got to start waking up to what the Chicago Sky are going to be. I'll be happy if the Sky goes 6-4 in that stretch. Hey, I'm right there with you, brother. That is why these early wins matter, right? Because the Sky are going to have to dig it out. They're going to have to dig it out. But all right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining and tuning in to episode of Chicago Sky. Y'all can stay subscribed. If you are not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we're the number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related and WNBA related in a lot of ways too. We go around the W during the week. So make sure you guys stay tuned in for that. You can follow the show at Chicago Sky Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoSkyCentral@gmail.com. And I want to hear from you guys. We haven't been able to do a mailbag episode yet, but I want to hear from you guys. The text message and voicemail line that we share with Chicago Bulls Central is 773-270-2799. If you guys start getting active on that, we'll get our own number and we won't have to share it with the Bulls channel. So make sure you guys get active. I want to hear from you guys. The start of the season has been fun. The Sky go 3-1 in the first 2 weeks of the season. I want to hear from you guys, man. But that's it. That's my time for today. Make sure you guys stay locked in with us. Love you guys. Go Sky. See you guys next time we go to Skytown, y'all. Peace.